with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go on this Monday evening in the city. Chip Washington with you, your humble host. It is 6 o'clock straight up, which means it's time for Real Talk Memphis. Welcome in wherever you are. Of course, each and every week, I'm always glad to have you join us for the hours from 6 to 7 p.m. for great conversation and great guests as well. And hopefully we're not going to disappoint you tonight in terms of that. I'm trying to get this microphone out of my way here. It looks like it's in my way a little bit here. So in any event, okay, that's better. I guess it's better. This one is okay. I guess this one's okay. Anyway, welcome in. We've not been around each other for about a week or so. I hope that your week has gone well. And that was you can move that one back. Yeah. That everything has gone well for you the last week or so, 7 days. We have a great show for you tonight. We hope that you are going to tune in and give it a shot this evening. We got some great guests, some great conversation, and all of that good stuff we will detail in just a moment. But for those of you who may not know, there are several ways in which to get this fine piece of radio broadcasting. First way, of course, right now we are on the air live following Level Lola from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WYXR 91.7 on your FM dial. You can also catch the broadcast on the WYXR.org app. We are also on the TuneIn app, and we are live streaming the broadcast tonight. So if you want to hop on over to Facebook, my Facebook page, you can catch us. We're on Facebook Live this evening. Now, the next couple of days, of course, if you didn't know we're a podcast, ladies and gentlemen, this show is a podcast. And you can catch us after they post the show next day or so. You can catch us on YouTube, as well as wherever it is you get your podcast. You know, one of these days I'm going to actually have you guys weigh into, if you do listen to the podcast of this broadcast, what is your favorite podcast platform? But in any event, thank you for being with us. Glad to have you here tonight. We're going to talk about a few things tonight, all of them very, very important. So I want you to put on your listening ears tonight. Sit back, relax, chill out, and enjoy. My guests include City Councilwoman Jerri Green, and she'll be on just a few minutes to talk about, of course, so they're smack in the middle of budget season. The new budget year starts on July 1st. One of the big issues, of course, is the 75 cents proposed increase in property tax by Mayor Paul Young. The city council is trying to do everything they can to take that burden off the backs of the citizens. And she has an idea about that, and she's going to share that idea with us in just a few minutes. See what you think. A little bit later on in the program, we're going to be talking with a couple of ladies who are dedicated really to the mental health and well-being of our young people. We talk a lot about the fact that many of our young people have lost their way in terms of committing crimes and a lot of other things, going down that wrong path. Well, this particular group, it's the Brave Foundation, along with Youth and Family Resource Center for the county of Shelby County, have gotten together and they have developed a program for young people to be able to talk. And young people, believe it or not, they have mental issues too. Mental health is a big deal. We talk about it all the time around here. And they're going to talk a little bit about the program and what they hope to do with it, and how they, more importantly, hope to help our young folks who might be dealing with some mental health issues. And a little bit later on, we are going to be talking about the Memphis Police Department. Of course, they have had more than their share of challenges, as we all know. Recruiting is always a big one, as well as a lot of other things. Well, we're going to be speaking with the vice president of the Memphis Police Association. His name is John Covington. He'll be on the show. It's the first time we've had him on this show. And he'll kind of lay out some things that they're concerned about, that they're thinking about. Maybe some things that you don't understand in reference to what the Police Association does. They represent the rank and file of the police department. And there's a lot of interesting dynamics going on within the police department. We'll talk about that a bit later on. So there you go. There's your lineup for this evening. But first things first, as we always do, we celebrate you. Many of you have taken a recent trip around the sun yet again. This is the first Monday in June. June. Time is flying. Anyway, so we like to celebrate you. We like to make sure that you feel special, at least for a couple of minutes on this big broadcast. So we do that by the birthday shout out. And we can't shout you out until I tell Bren. Hit it, Bren. There we go. I can hear now. Happy birthday going out to the following people. It's a big list today. Jason Farmer, celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday, Jason. Happy birthday is going out to Cornelius Freeman, to Miko Ashford, Grant Perry Polkin is celebrating his birthday today, as is Paula Bohannon, Jackie Keith Brooks, Toya Chionike, Doris McClure, Shay Hart celebrating her birthday today, as is Doug Jones. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you know, there's always a certain point in this where Lola saunters up to the microphone getting ready to give her shout out. Let's see here. Katrina Winters Kitchen celebrating today, as is Antoinette Tony Taylor. Lola.
I would like to say a happy birthday to Miss Keisha Rayford, Marsha Baker, Brian Robinson, my bestie.
Oh, goodness.
From another mother, Corey Hollywood, and my good friend Paris. Yes, it is Gemini season.
It is Gemini season. Speaking as a Gemini myself, that's a lot. You haven't had that many in quite a while. That's a lot. You kind of came with it today. Anyway, listen to each and every one of you. Happy birthday. I hope you had a wonderful day filled with love and laughter. And from all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, happy birthday. And we hope to be with you next year for your next trip around the sun. Thank you, Brand. Appreciate it. Y'all bear with me tonight. My voice sounds a little froggy, a little funny. I'm still kind of recovering from what I had a couple weeks ago. And while things are moving in the right direction, it's taking a little longer than I would like it to. In any event, let's after the birthday, let's talk about some passings, if we will. Some folks transitioned, some well-known people. Bill Walton, former NBA basketball player and a former NBA champion, he died last week at the age of 71 of cancer. Marion Robinson, that name may not sound familiar to many of you, but she was the mother of Michelle Obama. She died a couple of days ago at the age of 86. And stunning news we heard earlier today for you sports fans out there, especially you Dallas Cowboys fans. Larry Allen, all-star offensive lineman for many years and Hall of Famer, died suddenly over the weekend. He was with his family. They were on vacation in Mexico, and Larry died unexpectedly. So again, to each and every one of those people, we send our thoughts and our prayers and our condolences, and may their memories always be a blessing. Some quick news and notes here this evening. Of course, Wanda Halbert made her first court appearance. You know, she's in the middle of an ouster situation. The state is trying to oust her from her position as county clerk. She went for a preliminary hearing last Friday. A court date for the ouster proceedings has been set for August 27th. They have also issued another hearing for her regarding a possible suspension in the interim. So not only are they going to have a hearing to decide whether they're going to oust her or remove her as an elected official from her position, but they're going to have an interim court date to decide if they're going to suspend her while waiting for the decision for the ouster. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds, it sounds almost a bit personal to me. But in any event, that is going to happen later on this month, this possible suspension hearing. She did, through her attorney, file a request to have the case dismissed. That request was denied. So we are moving forward in that case. In the meantime, City Councilwoman Michaeline Easter Thomas has resigned from her position with the Memphis River Parks Partnership. This is in response to an ethics complaint that was filed a couple of months ago against her regarding her employment, because it could be conceived as a conflict of interest because the city council funds the Memphis Park Partnership there. And while she never voted on any issues, she recused herself from any issues where the River Park Partnership came up. It still raised a red flag, and she ended up resigning her position last week. Now, she could also face a possible censure vote if decided by the city council. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. In news outside of Memphis and Shelby County, Mexico, the country of Mexico, has elected a new president. Her name is Claudia Sheinbaum, and she is the first female president, first woman president in the country's history. She was elected over the weekend, so that's a pretty big deal there. She takes office in October. And United States Representative Sheila Jackson Lee announced, a big, long-time representative from Texas, 30 years or so, has announced that she's been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She's 74 years old, and she is currently undergoing treatment. We send our prayers to her for a recovery. That the pancreatic cancer is a pretty serious deal. And one more thing. I don't know how many of you were aware of, excuse me, or have seen the documentary on Stax. There's a museum on, there's a documentary on HBO Max about Stax and the music history, how they got started, the whole night. It's fascinating. It really is. And for someone who's not from here like me, to be able to watch how they started this thing, and of course we all know the legendary performers that were a part of that. If you get a chance to see that, you really ought to watch it. It's on HBO Max, and it was like a four-parter, and I've seen the first two parts. And of course we're talking about David Porter, we're talking about Isaac Hayes, we're talking about Otis Redding and Booker T and the MGs, and just so many folks. Deanie Parker's in it, Howard Robinson's in it. And many of the folks that were part of the house band. Yeah, it was really, and of course the Barkays as well. So yeah, it's really great watching. You should take a look at it and check it out. It's a great documentary of the history of music at Stax Music, and now Stax Museum here in Memphis. We're going to take our first break of the broadcast, and when we come back, what do you say we get into the show? We have a great lineup of guests tonight. We hope you think so. Tune in. Check us out, whether it's on the radio, whether it's on live stream or wherever. Just get in where you fit in. We'll take our first break. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from the FedEx Arts Program, providing grants to arts-focused organizations to strengthen the Memphis community through the arts and in alignment with FedEx's charitable priorities of access and stabilization.
Downtown Memphis' annual Juneteenth family reunion celebration is on its way, with a week filled with events celebrating a revival of Black arts, music, joy, and togetherness. The week's events include a spades tournament, gala, after party, and finally a festival featuring headlining acts such as Currency, Juicy J, Hit Kid, a DJ set from Erykah Badu, and more. For lineup, schedule, and more info, visit tonememphis.org.
The Soulsville Foundation is proud to support WYXR, offering fun family events all summer long, including the Stax Music Academy Summer Music Camp for kids grades 6 through 12, and the Stax Museum's Free Family Day every second Saturday of the month, with crafts, music, and food trucks. Information on all Soulsville events and music memorabilia are at soulsvillefoundation.org.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
Lola cracks me up. Welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with the frog in his throat, Washington with you. Glad to have you with us if you are with us this evening. And, of course, this is a very busy time for our elected officials in the city and the county. Of course, it's budget season. And with the budget season, comes making some interesting decisions that affect all of us one way or another. Now, I'm very happy to have our first guest with us. She's been on the show before. And of course, I like her because, when she ran for the city council, she's, one of her themes is I'm one tough mother. And she has held up to that claim. She does not play around. Ladies and gentlemen, we're welcome back to the broadcast. City Councilwoman Jerri Green. And Jerri, it's great to see you. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Chip.
Well, listen, thanks for being here as always. Really appreciate it. So let's jump right into this thing. Now, of course, you guys are in the middle of getting this budget tight, getting it ready for approval. One of the things that many of us are a bit concerned about, including yourself, is the shortfall within the city coffers, which has prompted the mayor to issue a call for a 75% increase in the property tax. That's not going down too well. I do know that you are looking at some ideas and some thoughts about trying to take that burden or at least reduce the burden from the taxpayers. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, just like you're saying, I'm hearing from my constituents, whether it's the renters in Cordova in District 2 that know a property tax will be passed along to them, the people in East Memphis who are fed up with the crime in the city and ready to move out and a property tax will push them over the edge, or my retirees in Hickory Hill who just don't know how they'll afford it. Everyone across the board is saying, please don't do this to us. So we have to not only look at where we can make cuts and adjustments to the mayor's budget, but also be creative about other revenues. Property taxes are not the only source of revenue. In fact, when I asked the administration, where was our largest source of unmined revenues, they said citations, parking tickets, speeding tickets. And I said, so how much do we have sitting in that bucket? In the last 10 years, we have $146 million in unpaid citations.
Are you serious? Wait. $146 million in unpaid tickets in this town?
Yes, and if you go back to 1991, which is the farthest back I can get records, we have $265 million.
That's insane.
So I proposed that, I agree, I proposed that we try to find a way to incentivize people to pay those fines. And I do know that sometimes those fines and fees are burdensome, right, to people in our community. So from now until the end of June, we have an amnesty period. And if you pay half of your debt, your record will be clear with us. So I'm trying to generate revenue for the city and help you fire sale on your ticket. I'm not saying you, Chip. I hope you don't have one.
No, I'm good. I checked. I'm good. Thank you. At least today, anyway. I don't know. Well, so let me dig into this just a little bit, because I'm trying to figure out, and this goes back some years. So how does the person know whether they have tickets to amounting to a substantial, what could be in some instances a substantial amount of money? Wouldn't they be locked up by that time, or wouldn't there be warrants issued for people who don't pay tickets? I guess I'm just confused about that.
These are civil fines, so we cannot arrest you for them.
Okay.
You can eventually go into collections, but only things that are over 10 years or under 10 years can be sent to a collections. After 10 years, we can't even go after you in collections.
Okay.
So there's certain hurdles. And then, of course, it's just a matter of manpower, tying up the courts, going after $100 here, $50 there.
Yeah.
It's not always worth it, right? But when you look at the aggregate of $146 million in the last 10 years, we could solve all of our budget problems right now if people would just pay their tickets.
Wow, that is so. I mean, so the incentive is this amnesty program, which basically means you if you do owe, you would only have to pay half, right? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
And I set up a link on my webpage, my campaign webpage. So if you go to jerrygreen.com/amnesty901,
yeah,
you can click a link there and you can put in your information and you can see, maybe you've forgotten. Maybe it just blew off your window. I have no judgment here.
I'll use that one. Hey, it blew off the windshield. I didn't even know I had it. It just blew right off.
I would love for you all to go check and see if you have anything. And, again, between now and the end of June, you get a discount. So it behooves you to at least go check.
Well, that's pretty interesting, and I think there's 3 readings involved in this, and the first one passed, right? Is it up again for the second reading tomorrow? Is tomorrow's meeting?
So we passed a short-term resolution to be able to do this, and then we passed a longer ordinance so that we can do it again in the future if we want to. Now we're going to see. I don't know whether this will bring in $100 or $100 million. We don't know,
right?
But we want to be able to have this lever to pull in the future. And for me, really, when we're talking about property taxes, that's about all of us chipping into our part of city services.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a way for every single person that has this outstanding to step up. And it is going to take all of us. We need money to do better on crime. We need money so that we can get your trash picked up on the side of the road. All of the things that you want city services to do require funds. And so this is a way that every person can give back to that.
So, having said that, and the second part of this thing, of course, and you mentioned it, it's the solid waste fee. That is going up too. What, some $6, almost $7, right? Is that what? That sound about right?
That's the proposal, and there may be adjustments up or down on that.
Right.
The idea is over 3 years that eventually it would be a little bit under $50 total, and that's for anyone on their MLGW fee. And we understand that that's also a big ask for people.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have some ideas to hopefully in the future work on that and work on people who have vacant lots and vacant properties to pay into that system as well and help reduce some of the burdens on the rest of us. But for now, look, I, as a city council person, probably did not know how many emails I would get about trash.
I was gonna say
it's a lot.
But blight, on the serious, a blight is a very, very big issue here in the city of Memphis, is it not?
It's huge. I would say that I hear the most about crime and blight. And so if we are going to tackle those issues, then we have to invest in them. And the solid waste fee is one of those ways. Specifically in this fee this time is built in for us to add additional people who would be inspectors for people who do illegal dumping,
right,
to be able to go after them, to tag them, to put them on notice, to take them to court, so that we could get some of those bad actors, the landlords that just throw all the property out onto the grass. So we are specifically trying to improve those services. I hate when my leaf bags get stuck on the curb for a long time too.
Yeah.
But also for us to be able to upgrade some of our equipment and for us to go after some of the bigger blight issues.
How surprised were you once you were sworn into office? Of course, we were all hit with this, what turns out to be over $50 million shortfall in the city coffers in terms of the budget. When that revelation came to light, how surprised were you and your council, your fellow council members in reference to that? Or were you surprised at all?
I was very surprised. I can't speak for others. I think others were as well. To me, my first instance of feeling confusion about how we got to this point was when we were presented with a resolution for 101 firefighters to be able to make their payroll the next week. We needed $10 million. And I just kept saying, I'm baffled about how we got here. And I say that as somebody who is still senior policy advisor to Mayor Lee Harris, who has lived through 3 budgets. I'm on my 3rd budget over here. I was just, I could not understand how we got to the point where that many people who put their lives on the line for us weren't funded. And so it continued to grow as we found out about other holes. I'm just grateful that we have a great council that is willing to work together and a good mayor who's willing to say, we've got to figure out how to fill this hole.
So before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit about something. You've been pretty outspoken in reference to the current interim police chief, C.J. Davis. The mayor has recently brought her name back up and said that he fully plans, and I would imagine post budget exactly, to bring her back up before your body in terms of getting her fully reappointed to that position. I know that you were one of a few who were not in favor of that initially when it was brought up. Anything change your mind between that point and now?
Sadly, no. I still see crime as our #1 issue in Memphis, and we are still, breaking records for the number of homicides. People don't feel safe to come downtown without their car getting broken into. I want Memphians to be able to enjoy Memphis. I want visitors to be able to enjoy Memphis. I want us not to have a reputation. I visited DC a few months ago. When I checked in my hotel, I said I was from Memphis. They're like, oh, is crime really bad there?
Oh, wow.
I don't want us to have that reputation.
Yeah.
And so I think the buck stops at the top. I've said over and over again, I wish nothing more than for Chief Davis to prove me wrong and for everything to turn around. But we're just not seeing that. And I know there's a lot of stats that are out there and conflicting stats. Some of what's on the website, for example, the last time I checked, it showed 105 homicides. But the last time that we questioned Chief Davis about it in committee, she said we'd had 125. So the public's not getting all the numbers that are correct. And the numbers I'm getting are showing that it's, closer to 150. That's too many. That's just too many. And that's not even counting other crimes. That's just our homicides. So for me, nothing has changed on this. I love the day when it would, but in the meantime, I would say, the council is the one who will have to bring her back because it was tabled, and so it'll be initiated by us. And then I hope we have a really thoughtful conversation about it.
You just said something. I just caught that. You said, we're the ones. The council is the ones that are the ones that are going to have to bring this back up in terms of the conversation. I know there's a little political gamesmanship going on here with the mayor bringing it up, but at the end of the day, it's your decision if and or when it's brought back up before your body. Correct?
Yes. Since it was tabled, it requires at least 7 votes to bring it back onto the agenda. And then CJ Davis would have to receive 7 affirmative votes to maintain her position. And she did not have that at the initial appointment, so it was tabled and she was made interim.
Yeah, that was a very interesting situation. One final thing before I let you go, and I guess it was the last city council meeting. Did you all vote to give all city employees a raise? Am I correct in that?
So it wasn't all city employees. It was several unions, including fire and police and our sanitation workers that have, done yeoman's work in our recent history, and we want to keep them and we want to keep them happy, and that means making sure that they are paid a rate that is equivalent to what they could get in other places. So we did vote that in, and then just today we made a budget amendment to cover those increases.
Well, that's good. That's good stuff. I mean, folks work hard and they deserve to be able to live, like we all deserve to live, decently and in order. Councilwoman Jerri Green, it is always, I love talking to you. It's always great to have you on the show, and keep doing what you're doing. And we will be watching very closely the next few weeks in terms of this budget to see what happens and see how much money you wrangle in from these.
That's right, go pay your ticket now.
Pay that ticket. Jerri, thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate it. Good to see you again.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care now. All right, bye-bye. Councilwoman Jerri Green, listen, pay your bills, man. If you have that ticket and you hadn't paid it, she's giving you. They're giving you an opportunity. They're saying, look, we're giving you a chance. Come in peacefully. No, I'm just and pay that bill, pay that parking ticket. It will be half. It will be half price. It will be half price, and I think that goes to the end of this month. So we'll see how all that plays out. But $140 million in unpaid parking tickets. What's the matter with you people out here? Anyway, I have contributed to the coffers of the city of Memphis myself more than a few times. I hate to admit it, but it's true. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation for this Monday evening. Glad to have you with us on a beautiful evening in the city right here on Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. You know who you are. Quick break, right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR, including our 2024 stereo sessions, comes from Independent Bank. For 25 years, iBank has supported the diverse and financial needs of its customers and the greater Memphis community. More information regarding how iBank can help you work toward your financial dreams at i-bankonline.com. Member FDIC. Support for WYXR, including our 2024 stereo sessions, comes from VIA Productions. Founded in 2003, VIA specializes in audience engagement, creating all types of video and audio content ranging from animation to documentaries. More information on how VIA can bring your brand story to life at viaproductions.co.
Coming up at the University of Memphis, Summer at the Shite Summer Camps, offering 4 unique sessions to help aspiring vocalists, musicians, and music lovers grow in their skills and music appreciation. Open to rising 1st through 12th graders. Visit memphis.edu/Shite Summer. That's SCHEIDT Summer for more details.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. Very happy to have you with us as well. And of course, my next guest, we've been talking about this for a while. We've seen an influx in the situation in terms of criminal activity, from several of our young folks out there. Many of them were dealing with juvenile crime and a lot of issues like that. But, we also talk about something we don't talk about enough, actually, that's really, really important. And that is mental health. We used to. It's becoming more and more of a conversation now than it ever has been. But one thing we don't really talk a lot about is mental health as pertains to our young people. Well, my next two guests are going to talk to us a little bit about that. There is an organization that has recently opened their doors to deal with mental health issues regarding our young folks. Pretty happy to have Dr. Shaneika Smith and Kache Brooks. Now, Dr. Smith is from the Braid Foundation, and Kache is from the Shelby County Youth and Family Resource Center. Ladies, it's great to see you. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing good. Thank you so much for taking some time to be here to talk about this important issue. Well, first of all, talk to us a little bit about this, Shaneika, the Brave Foundation. For those who don't know, tell us a little bit about that organization.
Yeah, so the Brave Foundation, we've been in existence since 2021, and we basically exist to amplify mental health access, awareness, and advocacy here in the Mid-South. Some of our programming really spotlights youth mental health issues, of course, but also supporting the mental health of teachers here in the Mid-South as well.
Yeah. Well, that all is very, very important. Now, you're partnering with, you're teaming up with, of course, the Shelby County folks, and in reference to all of this, and again, at the introduction here, Kache works for Shelby County, the Department of Youth and Family Resource Center. And Kache, talk to me about this partnership, and talk to me about how important it was for you all to get together to speak specifically, although there are other factors, as Shaneika discussed there at the top, but about this issue with our young folks and mental illness. Talk about that.
Yeah, so it's really a collaboration of community and our local nonprofits. So we know that people are doing really good work in the community.
Right.
So figuring out a way that we can take issues or concerns that the community has presented and really work together on the government side and on the community side to really bring something for our youth in Shelby County. So, we'll talk a little bit more about it in depth, but, in general, like you said, mental health is something that is, prevalent all around, not just now, but it always has been. So just making sure that we're providing access for our young people to streamline that process and make it a lot easier for them to get connected.
One of the things that, I have heard repeatedly in reference to, especially dealing with our young folks, and Dr. Shaneika, I'll address this one toward you, is the fact that there's a trust issue gap between young folks who don't feel comfortable in a lot of certain circumstances about talking to adults about some of the issues that are affecting them. But the fact of the matter is they are dealing with a lot of pressures and a lot of issues themselves. Am I correct in that?
No, you're absolutely correct. And what we kind of found, because we surveyed youth to really speak to this program and how we should build it in an intentional way. And so some of the things that we found, you'll probably find interesting as well, is that they have less of a stigma, but they like talking to each other, of course, like you said. And so when we asked them, what would it take, if there's less of a stigma, what would it take to get you in a therapist's office or engage in therapy? For them, it was the access, right? So in this program, our therapists, our Youth Connect therapists, will offer telehealth. They're also go to community centers and things like that where the kids are, and they can also meet them in their office as well. But they also said, we want to relate to people, for adults, a lot of times we're in a position of we're very authoritarian and we don't share our humanity with youth. And for them, they were like, we want to know who you are. What's your personality? What do you do on the weekends? Do you travel? So for them, they really wanted to know all of those things to be able to connect to a therapist. And so we, you'll see on our website and things like that, we also have things so that they can relate to the therapist as well, and select a therapist that will be best for them and representing their needs.
That really is fascinating to me, and really meeting them where they are, Kache. I think we talked about this before. There is something intrinsically important, and I think more and more people are starting to realize it because we hear it more. You have to meet these young people where they are. I mean, you can't be up here and they're down here, and then try to act like you're going to gain some ground, as Shaneika just talked about. That has to be an extraordinarily important part of all of this in order for it to be a success. Am I correct in that?
You're correct. Yeah, so one thing that came from the data that we collected too was that youth wanted to pick their own therapist. So a lot of times if a young person is enrolled in any type of services, historically that's something that a parent might be doing for them. So going online and figuring out hey, I set up your first session. This program is really intentional in that we want young people to really be in the driver's seat and be able to select the therapist that they feel like is a good fit for them. And also choosing on their own that it's something that they want to do and not necessarily something that feels forced on behalf of a parent.
Yeah, I was that, and see again, and that is how you start to foster all of this, and that's why this is so important. I saw a news story about you all putting this together, and I saw Dr. Shaneika doing the talking, I think the other day about all of this. This is something that is relatively this effort. And I know, Shaneika, you said you all have been doing with the Braid Foundation since 2021, but is this combined effort between you and Shelby County? Is this something fairly recent?
Yeah, so this work started really with the Coalition for Youth Mental Health in 2020.
Okay.
So it's been 4 years in the making. And in that, like, this isn't the first time that we've gotten youth voice throughout this process. Throughout that time, they also got like youth voice, youth leaders, like in the community, and really was just trying to shore up, like, what does this look like? What do we need? What do providers look like? Where should this be? So I'm really happy about where we are now and working with the Shelby County Youth and Family Resource Center. It just has really been amazing working with like-minded individuals that are really have a heart for kids like we do. And so in that, I think it's important too that in this, while we really want to service people who have never gone, youth that have never gone to therapy before, we know that we're going to get that population.
Sure.
We also are trying to educate people on like that combination of getting services because you have a mental health disorder, but also just for overall mental health wellness, right? Which is like, I might not have a mental health disorder, but do I know how to communicate effectively? Do I know how to regulate my emotions, right? Does my family know how to handle conflict well? And if they don't, do I know how to initiate that, right? So we're also trying to also say, like, mental health is not just for if you have a disorder. It's also just to check in on your just overall mental health wellness as well.
I'm going to ask you both a final question here, because all of this is leading me to this. So I'll ask you first, Kache. How gratifying is this, or what brings you the greatest gratification for what you do with this program?
For me, it kind of goes back to when I was in high school, because I felt like I didn't necessarily have an outlet. So to see young people saying like this is something that they've been wanting to do or interested in and just didn't know where to start, that's been the most gratifying for me to feel like, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to get connected, and it's simple. Because a lot of times, even for adults, it can be really difficult to navigate receiving services.
Dr. Shaneika Smith, what about you?
Yeah, I've been in Memphis since 2005. I'm originally from South Carolina. And I tell people that Memphis raised me. You know, the communities here embraced me. And I moved here to work with youth. So for me to just like come into this as a very young practitioner, but being fed by the communities here, being loved by the community and the youth here, I love that we have this opportunity to give like these services to the youth here. So that it means just a lot to me to be able to do that for youth and families.
Well, I have to commend you both. This is, I think this is an amazing program, and I think that more people need to know about it. And I'm glad we were able to put a spotlight on it. Whoever wants to say it, if people want more information about this, give us the information. Either one, whoever.
I think a good spot will be Facebook. If you follow the Shelby County Youth and Family Resource Center, or you follow the Braid Foundation, the application is embedded in our post. The application has been live since Tuesday. We've had a lot of good initial interest, but please, because spots will be limited, just make sure that you follow us on those pages and you can register there. Your youth can register there.
What is the Facebook the address there? What is the email or the Facebook
well, I know
page?
for the Braid Foundation, it's facebook.com/the Braid Foundation. But you can also go to thebraidfoundation.org, and there's a landing page there for Youth Connect. That's a combined effort of the Youth and Family Resource Center and the Braid Foundation there. So you can also go to www.thebraidfoundation.org as well.
Youth Connect. What an amazing name and amazing program. Dr. Shaneika Smith and Kache Brooks, thank you both for coming on the show and imparting this information that is so needed in our communities, and congratulations on it, and nothing but the best. And I'll let you know right now that if there's anything we can do to help further what it is that you're doing, which is important work, please let us know, okay?
No, thank you so much for spotlighting us.
Absolutely that. Thank you all for being here, and we'll talk down the road. Really appreciate your time. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was excellent. I mean, they're doing something. Young people do have an outlet, and young people do have a place to go. There are resources available. So if you need this type of help, then check it out. The Brave Foundation, of course, and the Youth and Family Resource Center. Great interview. We're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to shift gears, and we're going to talk to someone who can fill us in about what is happening inside the walls of the Memphis Police Department. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. There he is. Okay, so we can scrap this. Yeah. John, how are you? Can you hear me okay and see me okay? Good to see you, man. I'm gonna get you just to call me.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved.
Do
you have a show topic idea
that's all I am. But thank you. It's good to be here. Good to have you on the show.
Or have a
and we're in a quick commercial break. When we come back, you and I
Real
will
Talk show page, and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Did you know when you purchase a specialty arts license plate, you're supporting the Tennessee Arts Commission and organizations like WYXR? It's easy. Just take your old plate to your county clerk and swap it out, or choose the arts plate when it's time for renewal. Show your love for WYXR and other Tennessee arts organizations by visiting tnspecialtyplates.org.
Support for WYXR comes from Rootstock Wine Merchants. Located at 644 Madison in the Edge District, Rootstock is committed to bringing Memphis wines from small, independent producers with minimal intervention. More information on Rootstock's full selection of wine, beer, and spirits and online ordering available at rootstockmemphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to the big broadcast on this beautiful Monday evening in the city. Chip with you right here on Real Talk Memphis. And my next guest is the first time for making an appearance on this broadcast. He's never been on this show before. But, we hear a lot about the Memphis Police Department and, some of the things that we hear. We don't hear, everything. But I thought it was important for us to be able to get an inside view of things. And so I invited our next guest. He is the Vice President of the Memphis Police Association. He is Mr. John Covington. And John, it's great to see you. Welcome to Real Talk Memphis.
Well, thank you, sir. It's great to be here. And by the way, great show. I really enjoyed the Councilwoman. I really enjoyed that talk on mental wellness. So I really enjoyed tuning in.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I hope it won't be your last time. But to you and the Memphis Police Association, I guess first things first, how long have you been in your position within the association?
Well, I've been in my position as vice president. I was elected in last November.
Okay.
But before that, I was 4 years in another position as chief steward. So I've kind of moved up a little bit to vice president. And I've been on the force for about 11 years. This was a second career for me. I was a teacher prior. So, and I did my time on the streets. And now my job is advocating and being a voice for officers and fighting for better pay and benefits and just expressing the voice of the men and women out there who are working hard every day.
So you are basically the voice, the leadership, the voice of the rank and file, as you just said. Let me ask you, before it slips off my radar here, there was an issue earlier this year with a promotion process for second lieutenants. And of course, you all had an initial agreement as to how that was supposed to go within the leadership of the police department, but it didn't go that way. And there've been suits flying back and forth between the union and the city. Where are we with that right about now?
Well, right now, we took it before a federal arbitrator. We made our arguments. The city made their arguments. The arbitrator ruled in our favor. The city disagreed and sued us, and we're now in circuit court. Now we've been joined. There's 70 or so sergeants have gotten their own attorney, and will be joining us in our suit against the city. So that I think coming up in the next week is going to be the first hearing, and I'm hoping we'll get all this stuff wrapped up before the end of the year.
So let's talk a little bit about leadership. You heard me talking with Councilwoman Green, and I did ask her about the fact that the reappointment issue with the now interim police chief will be coming up, be brought up by the mayor. And I asked her, has anything changed from her opinion initially, which was 6-7 against, in terms of where that stands, and in terms of what you were hearing, because you do deal with the rank and file on a daily basis. Where is the relationship between the rank and file, would you say, and the leadership within the police department?
Well, the ultimate, decision that gets made will be made by the city council.
Right.
And it'll be up for them to decide, and then listening to the citizens to look back over the last couple of years, and if they're satisfied with the direction, we're going forward. So they're the ones that make that decision. What I will say is morale in the police department is not good right now. And there's a number of factors that are playing into that. And, part of it, let me just say it this way. We want from all of our leadership, from elected to appointed, to be heard, to be respected, and to be supported. Mm-hmm. Right now, in many ways, a lot of officers feel like that is not happening.
When you have a situation like that, obviously, when there's some dissension, I guess you could use the term dissension in the ranks or disagreement in the ranks, maybe. How difficult is it for them to go out and do their job every day? I know you hear from many of them. I mean, does that cause a bit of a ripple effect in terms of what you're seeing and hearing?
Well, the thing is that they're always going to go out and do their job, and no matter, and I've just seen time and time again, these brave young men and women, they put any frustrations they may feel to the side, because when that call goes out, you respond. Now, if you could, I'd like to go over just a couple of things that officers are facing right now.
Go ahead.
One is, we're 700 officers short. Now, back in 2011, we had the highest number of officers and the lowest crime ever recorded, but the ripple effect of that is, if you want to get a little, overtime is great. We all like money, right? Mm-hmm. It's not all about money. You need time off to refresh, recharge, spend time with your family, be able to go to church with your family, things like that, mm-hmm. Be able to take a little vacation. And officers are really kind of ground down right now. And, we deal with, we've had our MOU, our Memorandum of Understanding. Officers don't have many rights, but back in the 70s, based upon the example by Dr. King coming here, showed the Police Association the way. We ended up going on strike, and we did that for collective bargaining and to have a voice. And for over 50 years, for our agreement not to go on strike, we've had a process to deal with things. It's usually federal arbitration. Mm-hmm. But over the last few years, our MOU has been violated 9 times. And that's really hurtful for officers, because, it's not all about money and benefits. It's also about feeling respected and supported. So that has caused some tough feelings.
Having said that, and again, I don't know if people heard you say that there is a shortage of 700 officers off the force now. That is an incredible number of officers in terms of need, being able to patrol the city that you patrol. And quite honestly, these days the job is harder on several levels. But in my opinion, the disrespect of so many people, once upon a time, and I guess you could probably relate to it too, there was a respect for law enforcement, in our communities. But there really doesn't seem to be that today with what we see and hear on a daily basis. And, people need to understand that law enforcement officers are people first. And they have families, like you said before. They have responsibilities, and they like to be able to come home to their families. It's dangerous out here, is it not?
It is extremely dangerous. And typically, let me point out, too, it's sometimes the loudest voices aren't the voices of the majority. And all these communities that we go out to across, all economic spectrums, race, you name it, we hear over and over, and I hear from officers saying that the public out there really does support us. And I should point out, too, this idea of having, when we had more officers, it wasn't all about arrest.
Right.
It was about community policing, because you had time to embed in these neighborhoods, get to know the parents, the teachers, the preachers, everybody, the business owners. And talk about a dangerous job. We've lost, if you go to the officer down page, you will see over the past 4 years, we've lost 8 officers in the line of duty.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't tell the whole story. We've lost 5 more to suicide, which to me is also line of duty deaths. It's just trauma gotten on these streets in Memphis. So how many people listening that are not in law enforcement can say they lost 13 co-workers in the last 4 years? It is really a daunting challenge. And at the same time, we've got these other agencies. We answer 1 million calls a year. Germantown answers 35,000. We only make $73 more a year than they do. So if you were advising, a nephew or a daughter or whomever about going into law enforcement, my advice right now is you may want to go to Germantown. It's going to be a lot safer for you out there. So that's what we're competing against.
There have been repeated efforts to try to recruit officers, even to the point of, at one point, I believe there was a $15,000 signing bonus to get people to come in, fill out an application, and go through the process. It does not seem to have worked. You have any theories as to why that might be?
And this is last year, for the first time in about a decade, we became #1 in pay here locally, which is kind of surprising. We were dead last. The prior 2 years, we saw a 66% jump in resignations. When we became #1, resignations dropped by 28%. So it's not all about money, but, well, let's face it, money does help when you're weighing different options. And so, the mayor came out, presented for 3%, which would have made us drop to #3. 5% keeps us #1. We made our pitch to the council. The council voted in our favor.
Right.
And we're really hoping that by the end of budget season that they're able to fund that 5%, because I think it's important.
Before I let you go, what is the message that a lot of people maybe, you said earlier that, in talking to the citizens out there, talking to the officers, are coming back and saying that they really do support us. But what is the message that you would like the citizens to know about the police department and the work that you do on a daily basis?
Well, I want the citizens to know that the police department supports them as well. It breaks our heart to see these crime stats every day. We wake up. A murder may just be a news story, but that is a tragedy with the ripple effects that affects so many lives. And we feel that. We're out there. We see it. The great majority of us took on this kind of work as a calling, and it breaks our heart to see that it's the citizens who are suffering, and we have got to do a better job. And just know that the great amount of officers, their heart is in the right place. They're trying to do good. And we appreciate all the support we hear from citizens out there. We love you. We're with you. We're one city, and we need to do better.
John Covington, Vice President of the Memphis Police Association, thank you for your work. Thank you for what you do on a daily basis, and your colleagues within the force. We really appreciate you. You're always welcome to come back on this show. We'd love to have you back again down the road as things move forward. But continue prayers to all of those with the police department, and y'all stay safe out there.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you. Well, that put the wraps on the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as Brent plays us out. Listen, it's been a great show, great conversation on a lot of very important, top-of-mind subjects. And again, regardless of how you feel about the police department, understand that they have a job to do as well, and they're people first before their officers, and they have families like everybody else does, and they want to be able to come home too. We need to learn how to respect each other more as people, as citizens, not be so adversarial, but let's all try to work together and bring down the heat just a little bit. Thank you all for paying attention. Thank you all for being a part of this broadcast, as you are each and every week. Lord says so. We'll be back here next week to try to do it all over again, just a little bit better. So for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, for Bren, for Lola, and for yours truly, be safe, be careful. I'm praying for you. Continue to pray for me. And until next time, we are out.